What's up, you guys? This is Chris Rukov for another hand of the week, but this Friday we're not gonna have a hand of the week. We just gonna have Q&A, and I'm gonna answer some of the questions that you have been asking me. And let's dive right in. I'm gonna translate some of them because some of them are in my native language. Daniel asks, "Are you Bulgarian?" Yes. You're making interesting videos. Thanks. So here during the video I joked and I said, if you like the content, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the content, still give it a thumbs up. And the guy commented, I should still hit the like button even if I don't like it. That's the same logic. I hear when you were thinking of some of the hints. Thanks, buddy. That way of thinking, that was a joke first of all. That way of thinking helped me beat the micros twice, one for pokerstrategy.com and one is actually in Bulgarian, which is on my YouTube channel. You can see it. You're not gonna understand much of it if you don't know the language. So saying something like that implies that you're telling me that you're way better and that you might be way better. There's nothing wrong with that. But that logic actually helped me crush the micros twice. It is very easy. And usually my major, like I would say 90% of the people I coach, they do play the micro stakes, and I helped, I would not say 100% of them, but I would say 80-90% of them to beat the micros. And I have a few students that actually play 100 no limit. Some of them play more than 100 no limit. Not all of them. Like for the most part, majority of them reach 50 NL in about a month or two or three. I mean, it depends how much work you want to put in. So a comment like that, trying to say that I don't know what the F I'm talking about, is blatantly wrong and trying to take a jab, which is just stupid. Just try to support the people who are trying to create content. Try to support your fellow poker players. At the end of the day, you're gonna learn from each other. You're not a competition. And I'm saying that understanding that when I was a young player, I thought everybody is my competition and I was trying to trash everybody who has slightly different logic than me. There's more than one way of playing one hand that is correct. There's different strategies, there are different approaches, different tactics for different strategies. It's a very versatile game. It is not one glove fits all. So basically you can play one way and make money, I can play another way and make money. Great game, I enjoy watching this, thanks. There were some interesting questions that I'm gonna get into a little bit later. He's commenting here on the hand. I'm not gonna go in detail because I'm not gonna go to the video and review the hand. Now here John Tomka, who is a viewer. I don't think I know him personally. I have definitely not have a coaching session with him. He's a very bright guy. A couple of comments that he left lets me to believe that he really knows what's up. Now, this is a big fallacy, I think, when you're like very good. Let's say you play 100 NL and you come and see somebody who teaches 2 and 5 NL, and you're like, oh, this is stupid. That's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. You need to balance here. Well, here's the thing. On the micro levels, you do not need to balance. It doesn't make sense to balance because you make money differently, and that's what I'm trying to teach here. So the question from Jean is, I hope I pronounced that name correctly. Could I get you to expand on why 3-betting with 2D connectors, big blind versus button open is not a good idea? He follows the upswing ranges and they have those at 37% call and 14% 3-bet in this situation. So can any one of you tell me exactly 14% range? I mean, that's a little bit like using PieSolver, which is a software for GTO, and I had a friend of mine, we went on vacation last year and he was showing me. And there I have a student here. Alright, I'll be right back after I finish the coaching with the student, guys. Alright, so finish the sesh. Where was I? Yeah, about the Jean that was saying about his following upswing. Not sure if that's the best approach. I do not remember Duck Poke playing 2NL and 5NL. So I don't know if that's the best approach to learn poker. I mean, a lot of people go and play $50 tournaments watching Phil Ivey and Tom Dwan playing, the World Series of Poker, $10,000 or 1 million for one drop. It's kind of stupid. It's like trying to be a drifter driving a Toyota Prius. It's just not gonna happen. Oh yeah, I guess I explained that here. Upswing teaches 5NL, blah blah blah. Well, we got a comment from Will. Stack size analysis makes very little sense in my opinion. True, I don't play deep stack. I mean, I avoid it. There's a reason for it. Understanding the implied and reverse implied odds that come with 200 plus BB play is often a great opportunity to gain an edge over your opponents, especially at these stakes. Okay, well, how often do you see more than 200 big blind stacks, especially on those stakes? Not very often. Unless somebody is 2-3 stacks up on a Zoom table on PokerStars, who usually is a grinder. 2-0, 5-0, not a lot of grinders, by the way. So for the most part, people play there for fun, and they do not have 2 or 3 stacks. Rarely. If you see someone with 2 stacks, that means they just stacked off. Ace versus kings, ace king versus queens, whatever, and they doubled up. Rarely you see someone with 300 big blinds, and even if you do, how often you gonna be with 250 big blinds on the same table with them for a long period of time? Even if you happen to be with them on the same table, what happens? They raise, you have 10-3 offsuit, you fold. You raise, they have Jack-4 offsuit, they fold. Very rarely you're gonna get into the same table with the same player on a Zoom table, I'm talking, that you're gonna get into a hand together. How often the hand's gonna escalate that you're gonna put 250 big blinds of your own money on? How often do you see a 500 big blind pot, man? This is, what do you mean it's a good opportunity to gain an edge? First of all, most of you that know how to play deep stack, you don't. Especially this friend of mine who sent me those hands. His strategy was waiting. He said, I'm very good at this. I'm waiting to hit a set or a very good hand and then take their money. That's not a strategy. Everybody can do that. Deep stack is different because you have to have a way wider range for calling 3 bets, for 3 betting, for barreling 3 barrel bluffs, for doing all kinds of stuff that do not work with 100 BB strategy, just for the reason that you're deeper and you're basically making your opponent's stack more vulnerable because it's a big stack, which increases variance. And what do I want my students to not have in micro stakes? Variance. I want you to have as little variance as possible so it can be smooth sailing, because I want you to play less complicated spots. And this is why I advise more folding, or what you call it, overfolding. If the spot is complicated, you don't need to play it. You can make money with the spots that you know how to play. It's very easy on the micro stakes. As you can see in my answer, considering 2 BB is not played as often as 100 BB, obviously majority of the players play with 100 big blinds. Actually, 99% of the players play with more than 40 big blinds. I think that was the minimum PokerStars to sit on the table. So if you have a strategy that is 40 big blinds, which I think it's one of the worst stack sizes, but if you have a strategy for it, you almost always have active stacks of 40 big blinds. So less, almost always, you have 100 big blinds. Even less, you're gonna have 150, even less, you're gonna have 200, and even less, you're gonna have active stacks on the table on a regular basis of more than 200 big blinds. With that said, my 2 rules has to be true. I've mentioned them before for you to make money in poker. Same stack size is very important in repetitive situations. There's some hands in Omaha that I've seen in my lifetime that I don't think I'll ever see in my lifetime. 4-way pots, deep stack, good shot hits and wins. In Omaha, that will just not happen as often with the same situation. So that's why I try to keep it 100 big blinds, because it's repetitive. I mean, same stack size all the time. And in repetitive situations in poker, it's less variance. There's more repetitive situations than in Omaha or other games, I guess. But yeah, those are the 2 major rules I'm trying to convey to you that you need to complete. I mean, it needs to be true for you to make money in poker. I think if you pause the video and then read that comment, I'm pretty sure I explained that. Yeah, main reason to avoid that: increased variance, no clear solution to hands with 200 big blinds. Now, the deeper the stack, the more watered down and the more of a fluid concept the right play becomes. If you have 1 big blind, it's very easy to determine what is the right play. If you have 10, it becomes harder. If you have 20, it becomes harder. If you have 30, 40, it becomes harder and harder the more you increase the stack size. That's why heads-up hyper turbos are solved. They play 20 big blinds and less, and they're solved to my knowledge. And again, as I said, I'm not FUIV, so just because I don't agree with you guys or I have a different opinion does not really mean anything. It just means that I don't agree with you, and I'm not really, you know, a famous poker player. So now potential edge, like you said, is just a potential. We don't really know if we have it, because if we all think that we have the right strategy and the right strategy is waiting for a set, it's just stupid. 4, there's way more database analysis. That is true on 100 big blind games. Way more. Every grinder plays 100 big blinds. Not every grinder plays deeper. And also, if you're scared to play deep like me, yeah, I am scared to play deep. Why would I play if I'm scared to play deep? I can make money not playing deep. There's no shame in that. You understand that? Okay, I, Christian Rukov, RukovGrind, I'm scared to play deep. I'm scared shitless to play deep, and I'm making money. I don't need to learn absolutely every stack size of the game to make money. I can just learn and excel in one little sliver, 100 big blind strategy, 6 max. I cannot even play, let's say, 9 max online. I've tried it, it's very boring. There's not much money to be made, because it's not as aggressive. But I decide to specialize in 6 max, 100 big blinds. And that's fine with me. If you're I'm not comparing myself to, you know, a professor, but if you're a professor in, I don't know, chemistry, you don't need to know, you know, biology and how to fix a tractor. You know, you're a professor in biology or chemistry, whatever. You get the point. All right, what hands are you calling with? Jean, sorry, I don't want to be argumentative. I Googled it. You said Google low. There's no low jack and hijack. I mean, you can call them like that if you want, but the people that I talk to, poker players, poker pros, forums, no one says low jack and hijack for a 6-handed table. The positions goes as follows: small blind, big blind, under the gun, middle position, cutoff, button, and that's it. No one calls the cutoff the middle position hijack and the under the gun low jack. They're known as UDG and, you know, middle position. Now, you can call them like that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I don't think a lot of other people call them like that. Again, I don't want to be argumentative. All right, this is the one question that you asked here, or idea that you gave me, that I decided to do this video. I'm pretty sure hijack and low jack commonly used, blah blah, whatever. That doesn't matter. I was asking about the range because it just feels like a massive overfolding after a small open pot 3-bet, where even simple fit or fold set mining is profitable. Even if that's true, and I know I'm teaching very ABC poker, and there's a reason for that. So my whole goal into those videos is to teach 2, 5, 10, and 16-0 players, which is micro stakes, how to play the bulk of the easy situations without putting themselves into a spot that they don't want to be in and they do not know what to do. If you watch my series Sunday warm-up that I just started making, see my students how when they deviate from the strategy, they get into a spot where, coach, what do I do? And I'm like, well, I don't know what you do. Never told you to do that on the flop or on the turn. Now you're asking me what to do on the river. You have a problem on the river just because you played something wrong pre-flop, or you played something on the flop that was not correct. So now it escalated to a river spot that I don't know what to do. And I'll tell you why I don't know what to do. I've never been into that spot because I don't let myself to get into a problematic spot. I mean, I try not to let myself into a problematic spot so I can solve the problem on the river. I played the game in a way that I do not have any problems to solve. Yeah, fit or fold, if you want, great. But my think about this, student, we're talking about, if you haven't seen that video, guys, I believe it is, we have a pocket pair, somebody 3-bets, and we call with a pocket pair, which I do not advise on 2NL and 5NL. The reason is because sometimes we got pocket 8s, board comes deuce 5, and we make huge mistakes after that, because we assume just because we have overpair, we're, you know, the god and the Lord of the Rings, and we treat those aces as we treat those 8s as aces, and they're not, because the opponent still can have 9s, 10s, jacks, kings, queens, and aces that beats us. But we kind of forget that because we have the overpair, right? and we think on level 1, what do I have? We do not think on level 2, which is what the opponent has, or at least what we think the opponent has. And that leads to mistakes. For me to avoid that, I just tell my students, hey, don't call with pocket pairs for now. Later on, when they start learning and beating the game a little bit, because you can beat the game with just folding, you know, you don't really lose much money with folding. I mean, you lose 2 to 3 big blinds or 0 if you just fold pre-flop. I know, with folding you don't make any money either. I understand that. So it's not a huge leak. Yeah, it's a mistake that occurs more often than not, but it's not a huge mistake. Later on, when you learn the game little by little, I'm like, hey, let's go with half of the 8s or pocket pairs. Let's go with, you know, you need to follow a set of rules of what do we call with, you know, when do we call with pocket pair. I discuss those in details in my course, and maybe in some of the videos. But for the most part, I would like you to not call anything in the beginning in the 3-bet pot. Learn how to play single raise pots. Learn how to play 3-bet pots when we have the initiative and we are the 3-better. And later on, learn to defend versus 3-bet. You know, you gotta learn to, you know, walk before you start running. You know, it's kind of that logic. All right, I think this is everything. Jean said that he's bump handing 5-0 for fun. Bro, I mean, you're a good player. 12 BBs is a lot. 70,000 hands is not a lot. But you say you're running massively above EV. Good for you, bro. Because of you, some of us don't run massively above EV, all right? Some of us run below. As you can see into my actually second challenge in poker strategy, I run below EV and still crush the micros in, I think it was 90,000 hands. First time I did it for 40,000, but I was running. I just want to let Jean know that I'm pretty sure that his name's pronounced Jan, so I'm sorry if I butcher it, buddy. Anyways, guys, that was it for today. Thanks a lot. If you like the content, please drop a like. If you don't like the content for that guy, also drop a like, all right? Subscribe. Thank you for supporting the channel. Leave a comment if you have any questions. I was gonna do, you know, some other questions about, you know, how hard it is to be a poker player, how much money you make, but maybe for some other time because I'm way past the 10-minute line. All right, thanks again, and I'll see you next time, guys.